The original melanated people of this planet, who were once the perfect picture of health, are now leading in nearly every preventable disease globally. Our indigenous foods and cultural practices kept us 95% disease-free. Over time, as we adopted a foreign dietary lifestyle, our physical and mental health severely declined. I gathered over 15 years of experience as a registered nurse and African holistic practitioner to address this complex challenge in my new book, High Vibration Nutrition. This is a simple guide to healing through our culture and flourishing in wellness once again. Get the High Vibration Nutrition book by Banasset Khan Sekmet at Amazon. Also, get limited edition autographed copies of the book at KemeticWellness.com. Peace, Chem family. It's me, Banasset, your African holistic health nurse for Kemetic Wellness, and I am back with another video. If you're new here, again, my name is Banasset. I'm a licensed registered nurse and energy healer. And here at Kemetic Wellness, we heal ourselves from an African-centered lens. And lens stands for language, energy medicine, nutrition, and sacred movement. This is natural African medicine because we know that our healing is in our culture. So if any of that resonates with you, please keep watching. Today, we are talking about how Kemetic Reiki heals trauma. So let's get into it. Trauma is one of the biggest blockages to our health. It's a huge blockage to our health, our joy, our spiritual evolution. And today I want to share with you how the African healing system of Sekhi, Kemetic Reiki, works to release trauma from the mind, from the body, and from the spirit. So let's define what trauma is. Trauma is any distressing event that causes significant and lasting negative effects on a person's mental health, emotional health, and their physical well-being. And trauma is not just the event itself, it's the energy of the event that gets stuck in our entire system. It could be something physical, like an accident or abuse. It could be emotional, like a heartbreak or abandonment or betrayal. And it could also be ancestral, something that's passed down through several generations. Whenever trauma happens, it doesn't just stay in your memory. It creates an imprint on your nervous system, on your energy centers or your chakras, on the meridians that connect to all of your different organs, which is why it can cause physical disease, and on your entire auric field, which is your spirit body. And this imprint holds all of those low vibration emotions that were created by the trauma itself, such as fear, guilt, shame, anger, pain. And over time, that energy becomes stagnant and it can manifest as physical disease. It can show up as emotional instability, dysregulation, or just a feeling of being disconnected from yourself. African people in particular, we are dealing with a collective generational CPTSD. If you've never heard of CPTSD, it stands for Complex Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder. Okay? And we're experiencing this from centuries upon centuries of racial abuse. This is very important to acknowledge because if you are Black and you're trying to heal trauma without addressing this aspect, you're only scratching the surface. You're only scratching the surface, which is why whatever you're doing is probably not working for you. Okay, so CPTSD describes the mental health effects of repeated, prolonged exposure to traumatic events. In our case, that would be slavery, political warfare, poverty, imprisonment, and various forms of racial abuse. And the abuse itself has never ended. And it's become so normalized that we don't even recognize it as an issue anymore. It's just normal life to us. It's just normal life to us. And this is why we're so complacent and so complicit in the abuse. Okay, there's a collective learned helplessness that has to be broken and unlearned. It has to be unlearned. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is by healing the trauma at the energetic level. Why? Because it bypasses the conscious mind and gets into the subconscious. So let's talk about the African perspective on trauma. From an African perspective, healing was always holistic. It was always holistic, which is very different from the modern Western perspective. When I say holistic, I mean you heal by addressing the root cause of the problem, not by treating symptoms. Okay. It also means that you address all 4 levels of wellness: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. Okay. Our ancestors knew that physical illness was just the last stage of disease, because everything starts in the spiritual realm before it manifests physically. The problem is that it's so easy to ignore what is intangible, especially when you live in a society that keeps you disconnected with food, disconnected with TV, social media, video games, name it. Name all the ways in which you can stay disconnected in Western society. Okay, so sometimes illness has to manifest physically to force us to deal with it. Yeah. When our Sekhem, our life force energy, cannot flow freely through the body, we experience imbalance. And this is what we call trauma responses. So on a physical level, this can look like extreme fatigue, can't get out of bed in the morning, exhaustion, or even physical illness. This is common with a lot of autoimmune disease. Okay. They'll just tell you your body is fighting itself when it's really something else. Okay. Emotionally, this can show up as depression, being over anxious, or emotional dysregulation like anger outbursts. Mentally, it can look like having difficulty focusing, having a lack of clarity, poor decision making. Okay. And spiritually, this can show up as a lack of purpose, feeling like you have no purpose or you don't know what it is, feeling abandoned by the Creator, or consistently asking yourself, why me? Why is this happening to me? Whenever you face difficulty. However these trauma responses show up, it's a signal to you that there is an energy blockage. And energy blockages are simply a sign that something in our lives is out of alignment with Ma'at, which is divine order, truth, and balance. Kemetic Reiki teaches us about the principle of Ma'at and how to live in alignment with Ma'at so that our lives reflect truth, harmony, balance, order. reciprocity, righteousness, propriety. These are the 7 virtues of Ma'at that maintain balance in the universe and also within us when we live in Ma'at. So we restore good energy flow, good, freely flowing, vital Sekhi when we return to Ma'at. So how does Kemetic Reiki heal trauma? I'll discuss a few ways. There are many, but we'll talk about a few today. The first one is clearing out energy blockages. Clearing energy blockages. So the practitioner uses or usually begins a Kemetic Reiki session by cleansing the person's aura with incense, such as sage, frankincense, and myrrh, or other natural resins. We call this smudging. We call this smudging. Smudging is also typically done with prayer. So there's a prayer spoken for the person, over the person as you were cleansing them. Now, during the session, the practitioner is going to use their hands to connect with the person's aura. And this is so that you can notice if there's any inconsistencies in the aura or feel what the person's aura feels like. Okay, so essentially they're doing a reading with their hands. Your hands are functioning as your eyes, like your spiritual eyes. Okay. Once the person gets a feel, or once the practitioner gets a feel for the person's aura, they're going to begin sweeping the aura with their hands. So they use the hands to clean, like spiritually, energetically clean the person's aura. So you can see them sometimes sweeping motion, pulling also. Okay, clapping helps to dispel negative energy, that sound. So you'll see them do any of these different things to clean a person's aura. All of these things work to clear up the energetic or auric field and begin to dissolve blockages of fear, grief, or pain. All of those deposits that the trauma left behind. Okay. Another thing that is going to happen during a Kemetic Reiki session to help with trauma is balancing the nervous system. So trauma activates the fight, flight, or freeze response. And many people who experience trauma stay stuck in that state for years and years and years, to where it just becomes normal life for them and they don't even realize that they are stuck, which is where we are collectively. It's just so normal for you. Okay. Kemetic Reiki brings a very deep relaxation to the body, which helps to reset the nervous system. Okay. So the practitioner is going to use a pendulum, typically, to read along the person's energy centers, their meridians, their chakras, and notice exactly which areas are blocked. And during the session, they can use different tools to open or rebalance the energy centers that are out of alignment. They're also going to use their intuition to know which tools are best for the client. Okay. Different people respond to different things. So it's a very intuitive process. They may use different instruments such as drums, rain sticks, singing bowls, chimes, bells. Okay. They may use crystals or different symbols, either through guided meditation, or they may have the symbols, they may draw the symbols. They may use hekau, which are words of power. So chanting, prayer. Also hesi, which is a musical or singing form of hekau. So it's song with high vibrational words in the middle netter. They may use essential oils. Essential oils have very high frequency, very high frequencies. Okay. Or they can even guide the client through breath work or meditation. They will also channel energy to the client through their hands. So you will see the practitioner hovering their hands slightly above the person's body to release old patterns of fear. Okay, this creates safety for the mind and for the spirit. Okay. The third way that Kemetic Reiki helps to heal trauma is by reconnecting the spirit. So one of the byproducts of trauma is that it can often make us feel fragmented and disconnected, like pieces of our soul are missing. You feel like there's a void. Kemetic Reiki helps to call back all those scattered parts of ourselves. One of the ways we do this is by reconnecting to nature. Nature is our closest link to divinity and to our authentic selves because we are a part of nature. When we reconnect with nature, we are also reconnecting with our own divinity. Kemetic Reiki also teaches us how to connect with our ancestors. Okay. One of the most dangerous and ridiculous things that we have learned from religion is to view our own ancestors as demons. That is ridiculous. Okay. That's essentially cutting you off from your own spiritual protection. Okay. If anyone is going to be looking out for you, it's going to be your own ancestors who know you by blood because they want the best for you. They are the ones with the most spiritual power to assist and guide you on your journey because they know you by DNA. Okay? You existed in your grandmother's womb even before your mother was born. Okay? None of those saints, none of those angels in that book of fiction that y'all love to read are protecting you because they have no blood connection with you. Okay? You cannot find the bones of nobody in the Bible. None of them. Okay? You can't find any artifacts of them in a museum. You can't find any articles written by them. Nothing outside of that book. Outside of that book, they literally don't exist. Okay? This is why you're always praying with no results. Okay? You know that your ancestors existed by virtue of the fact that you exist. Hello. You know that your ancestors existed. You have no proof outside of that book that any of those people existed. Okay? So this is a real, tangible thing. Ancestral veneration is powerful, and that's why they want to make you afraid of it. Okay. Kemetic Reiki also teaches you how to invoke and embody the necheru, such as Sekhmet for protection. And if you don't know what necheru is or netter is, it's simply the one divine consciousness, okay? One divine mind, divinity, creation, the totality of all existence. Okay? So it teaches you how to invoke and embody the different necheru. Okay, Het Heru for joy, Ma'at for balance. Okay, the necheru are our great African spirits. One of the things that make a lot of people afraid to disconnect from other religions is that they feel they will not be able to have a connection with God or with divinity outside of what they know in their religion. Okay. I remember when I started on this journey, my mother started calling me an atheist because she just didn't have a concept that you could know divinity, you could know your own divinity or have a connection with God outside of Jesus, outside of the Bible. And that simply is not true. That simply is not true. Okay. So the Necheru are divine universal laws and principles. These principles exist in nature and they also exist within us. When we embody the Necheru, we are taking on the characteristics of the Necheru to empower ourselves. It helps us regenerate the spirit and it helps us to feel whole again. Okay. So let's talk about the process of release that happens during Kemetic Reiki. These are some of the things that people experience and feel during a session. And what I'm talking about can happen whether you're doing a session by yourself, if you're practicing on yourself, or if you are experiencing a session with someone else, working on you, with a practitioner, having a session with you. Okay, so sometimes people feel different sensations, such as warmth. They may feel tingling, and sometimes they feel waves of emotion, different things that are coming up, memories that come to the surface. And it's not to re-traumatize you, it's just so that you can see it and release it. A lot of people have different emotions, tears, laughter. Some people scream to release pain that they haven't felt consciously in a long time. They suppressed it. Okay? Some people are silent. All of these different reactions and responses are a part of the body purging itself and letting go. Sometimes a cord cutting is also done to assist in releasing certain attachments. So there are some specific rituals that you can do during a Kemetic Reiki session to help release the pain of certain traumas. Traumas like losing a baby in your womb, either inadvertently or intentionally. Okay. After the session, you're often going to feel lighter, very light, very calm, very euphoric, more peaceful, more connected. Now, after the session, there's work to be done to maintain this state of being, okay? Healing trauma with Kemetic Reiki is not only about what happens during the session. You're also going to get tools for your daily life. So as a client, a Kemetic Reiki session is like an energy reading, okay? It's an energy reading. So you're going to receive information on which of your energy centers, which of your Aritu are unbalanced and what steps you need to take to bring balance back to those different areas of your life. It's up to you to actually implement the necessary changes as a part of your own self-care. The same is true if you are the practitioner working on yourself. You have to take into account the intuitive messages that you receive when you do your own healing work and make the necessary changes to live a life in Ma'at. So these are some of the Kemetic Reiki tools that you may be directed to use to rebalance yourself. These are just some. One is breath work. Breath work is a powerful tool for reducing anxiety, reducing stress, calming the mind, increasing focus, and increasing concentration. Okay. These tools are powerful because talk therapy alone is not going to cut it for some of the things that we've been through. It's not going to cut it. Some of that stuff is deeply held in your nervous system, in your physical body, in your muscles. Some of y'all are walking around with hips that are extremely tight because of things that you've experienced. Some of y'all have been through molestation, rape, all type of things. And you're experiencing that pain in your womb, and your hips being tight, your pelvis being tight. You understand? Talk therapy is not going to get to that. Okay, all those new terms that they come up with now, somatic therapy, yoga, all these new terms, your healing is in your culture. They're just renaming stuff that we have always done. Okay? Get to the nitty gritty, get to the real, get to the root, the grassroots. Okay? Get back to your bloodline. All right? With some of your healing tools. Meditation. Okay? Meditation helps to retrain and reprogram the mind so that those thoughts, those repetitive, low vibrational thoughts that are going on a loop in your mind, you can stop that. You can interrupt that programming and release old self-destructive programming. Prayer. This is another tool that you can use to help rebalance. Our prayers are African-centered. Okay, our prayers are African-centered. So in African spirituality, we don't do begging prayers. We don't do begging prayers. Okay, we're not making any prayers to any imaginary deity in the sky or any entity that's in a fairy tale book where you can't find the bones or the bodies of any of these people. You can't find them in a museum. No evidence that they existed, okay? We don't do begging prayers. Please, God, please, can you make that happen for me, please? We don't do begging prayers, okay? Prayers are commands. And when you know that you are divine and you are connected to divinity, when you know that you're connected to the totality of all existence, you don't have to beg for anything. Okay? Prayers are strong and affirmative. We pray to our benevolent ancestors. Keyword benevolent. Keyword benevolent. Okay? You don't call the names of those ancestors who did not live right. Okay? You're praying to your benevolent ancestors. These are real people who actually existed, who actually really existed in a physical body at one point, who love us and who continue to guide us, whether you recognize them or not. Some of them are your spirit guides. Okay? We also pray to our own ancestral deities. We remember them, we call their names. Okay? We pray to the Necheru, the forces of nature, which we know exist because we can go into nature and see them. Okay? And we can embody them within. So prayer. Another tool you may be directed to use: spiritual baths and rituals. So these are things that help to release stagnant energy, negative energy that has become stuck to your auric field, that's weighing you down, dragging you down. Okay. Think of someone who you've seen who they look good, right? Like they look good on the outside. They may be dressed up, their hair may be done, makeup may be done, nice clothing, but they just look weighed down. They look dragged down. You could tell they had a hard life by looking at them. You could tell that they had a hard life by looking at them. This is the result of years and years, maybe centuries, not centuries, sorry, maybe decades of trauma. It could be centuries too, because some of it is ancestral. Okay. This is a result of compounded trauma that the person has not released, that's become stuck to their auric field, and it's weighing them down. And you can see it on them. You can see it on their aura. Okay. So spiritual baths and rituals help to release that stagnant energy. You can do different types of rituals. So there are some for cleansing. There's some for purification. There are some for protection as well. There's some for healing. Okay. There are rituals and spiritual baths for attraction and manifestation, opening the way for things that you want to come in. You've been praying for them to come in, but it just seemed like something is in the way. Okay. So spiritual baths and rituals. Also, ancestral healing. A lot of you know that the things that you are experiencing now, it didn't just start with you. Why are you thinking back to your childhood when you were 5, 10 years old and your life felt so heavy? Your life is not supposed to feel that heavy. That means that all that stuff you carrying, it didn't just start with you. Some of y'all felt heavy in childhood. Okay, it didn't just start with you. So you learn how to connect with your ancestors and learn how to heal bloodline patterns that are showing up in your life and disturbing you. Okay. Some of you all may have thought about these things where it seemed like everybody else in your family is just going along with it, oftentimes repeating the patterns. And you may wonder, why am I the one who has to do this work? Why am I getting bogged down with this? Why is it bothering me, but it's not bothering anybody else? The problems are coming to you because you are the one meant to heal them. You are the one meant to heal them. Okay, so do your work. And the consequence of not doing your work is that things are not going to go the way you want in your life. You will suffer. You will suffer. Okay? Okay. So there are many, many other tools that I can name. I'm just going to give you those for this particular video. These are just a few ways that Kemetic Reiki heals trauma. If you would like to book a session, a Kemetic Reiki session with me, I am available for in-person and online sessions at KemeticWellness.com. If you are interested in learning more about Kemetic Reiki, we have a Kemetic Reiki discovery class. The next live class will be on September 22nd, but the recording will also be available if you missed the class. I will post the flyer for the class in the community section of this channel. Okay. This class is going to give you a good foundation and also an insider's look into exactly what Kemetic Reiki is about and how you can use it to heal yourself. You can also purchase the Kemetic Reiki books in my shop. here on YouTube and at KemeticWellness.com. We also have Kemetic Reiki certification courses, okay, for level 1 and 2. Level 1 is the beginner level, the initiate level, for those who want to learn how to heal themselves. Level 2 can also be beneficial to you if you simply just want to work on yourself and work on healing your family, because you're going to get more tools in level 2, okay? But if you want to use this as a skill to help heal your community, level 2 is the practitioner level, okay? So you get more tools, not only to heal yourself, but also to help heal others, okay? All the information and links to upcoming courses and classes will be in the description of this video. And you can always find me at www.KemeticWellness.com. So that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.